So what Project Constitution has received a tip on?
So I received a tip from somebody, one of my researchers, a guy named Tony. What he showed us is Jake Hoffman on the organization Rally Forge, the Rally Forge LLC he had.
So I did pull up the entity information for Rally Forge LLC. It's active, it's in good standing, and right now it's on in Jake Hoffman's name. This address, 21401 East Russet Road, Queen Creek, which I believe is that same address as a UPS mailbox. So before we even get into the loan, really, this is the Arizona Corporate Commission. This is where every business in Arizona is required to register. And this is official state government records. This is what comes up when I search Rally Forge. And of course, the name shows up as well. And then you can see May 19th was the formation date. And we're going to come back to that because it's about to matter a lot, really. And the principal information manager, Jake Hoffman, member Jake Hoffman. So let's be crystal clear that and establish this is Arizona State Records, managed by Jake Hoffman, LLC owned by Jake Hoffman, and he's been in control since May of 2016. So it's not speculation.
Gotcha.
Not rumor. This is AZ Corporate Commission records.
I was sent a tip that Rally Forge LLC applied for PPP loans, and they misrepresented
Allegedly.
what their company. I mean, it not really allegedly because it's in black and white.
Yeah.
They misrepresented what their company does, and they also misrepresented their salary amount. So I'll let Danks go into a little bit more on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me show you what we have here. This is an official. Okay, so first of all, let's be straight here. This is from ProPublica. But ProPublica does pull from legitimate IRS government documents, okay? So this is the official PPP loan record for Rally Forge LLC. And the data comes directly from Small Business Administration. So that's what SBA stands for. You've heard that, right? So this comes from the SBA, the administration through Freedom of Information Act releases. And ProPublica, they did not create this data. They just made it searchable. So this is the same information that the government, the federal government has. So this is your foundation, really. This proves that Rally Forge received, and it's a loan, okay? They received a loan through taxpayer money, and the loan being approved for motor vehicle supplies and new parts merchant wholesalers, all right? So
say what?
This is,
that doesn't sound like what Hoffman's Rally Forge did, does it to you?
no, it does not. Again, I don't know why they would put it there. Motor vehicle supplies, you know, look, this is an industry classification, okay? The industry classification, I have no idea why you would put your industry classification, but it says motor vehicle supplies and new parts merchant wholesaler. So unless he's got some wholesaler for auto parts warehouse business, Rally Forge was not that, to my understanding. It has been a media company, troll farm, that was banned from Facebook. Whether or not they were on the up and up doesn't, you know, that's not what I'm pointing out here. But what I am saying is that they haven't been diving into motor vehicle supplies and new parts merchant wholesaling. And this is another thing here. So I'm going to zoom in even more. So the loan amount is for $17,738. What's interesting is taxpayers, you and I, has forgiven that loan for an additional $198, includes any accrued interest. What this is stating is that they took a loan for $17,738 on May 1st, 2020. The amount was forgiven by taxpayers. Now, what's interesting is that this loan said when the applicants said the money will go, $17,738 straight to payroll, zero utilities, zero mortgage interest, zero healthcare, zero rent, and zero debt interest. This has raised significant red flags. Business age, new business, or 2 years or less. If that's the case, Rally Forge has been around since 2016. Okay. So unless there's some other Rally Forge LLC entity that is at the very same location that is doing something else that we don't know about, what does this mean, right? Now, on the screen, you're seeing where all of this could fall apart, right? Like legally. This is the expense breakdown and on that I just showed. You're seeing the actual entity information. So are they lying? I want to know. Are they lying about the 2 years or less? Because in order to, this is legal documentation. Okay. This has to
And
be.
by the way, let me just say one thing. It also matters. Like when they put in how long the business has been around, when they put in what the business does, like their motor vehicle wholesale thing, that actually matters because that is what determines how much their loan amount and if they're even eligible. As we'll get into that, I'm sure, a little bit later. But that's why this is a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is 100% breaking news. So like, subscribe, follow if you haven't already, and share this. We have established that Rally Forge told the SBA, all right, that they were in the business of motor vehicle supplies and new parts merchant wholesaling. In this case, when you're talking about wholesaling, warehouse, actual requirements to operate, you need a building, you need somewhere to store the inventory. Auto parts are physical objects, brake pads, alternators, transmissions, oil filters. These things take up space. You need shelving, you need square footage. That means that you're either paying rent on a warehouse or you own the building and have mortgage payments. But Zach has shown up to the address, and it doesn't show the exact address here. But and that's the thing is, in order to get the full information, I would need to do a FOIA request. I'm pretty sure this is a government organization that they had received a loan from and then forgiven for something that I can't find any truth thereof. I haven't seen any Rally Forge LLC selling motor parts. So on that front, what do you have to say about that, first of all?
I think that it's very telling that Hoffman would do something like this. I just say that, because we already know his other things are pretty shady. So, and during that time, you got to remember, during that time, there were a lot of people doing this too. They were looking at it as like free money, but they didn't think there'd be consequences.
You got to remember, you're taking a loan 100% for payroll. To me, what this looks like is that you're literally just taking a loan for some extra cash. I'm just saying that's what it looks like to me. I don't know what it means legally, but when Jake Hoffman signed the PPP application, he certified under penalty of perjury that the information was accurate. He said Rally Forge was an auto parts wholesaler, but the expense breakdown proves that that's impossible. How do you have an auto parts wholesaler with no utilities, no mortgage, no healthcare, rent, like no debt, and nothing, just payroll? So you can't claim that and then report zero facility costs. Those two things cannot be true. That's not a mistake, right? This is what prosecutors would call a material false statement. And the industry classification, what it appears to be, is false, unless there's a company that we don't know about or there's a part of Rally Forge LLC doing business that we don't know about. So that's not a mistake. It's not a typo. In my opinion, that is fraud. Rally Forge LLC was compensated $1.8 million. Rally Forge, the same year that they filed for the loan, the year before, they made $1.8 million right here. Rally Forge LLC, Queen Creek, Arizona. All right. Rally Forge LLC, Queen Creek, Arizona, 21401. All right. 21401 right here. All right. And then that same year, May of 2020, they're asking, because they're literally having to state how much their company is bringing in revenue and all of that stuff. They're stating that their company is bringing $85K. How does this add up in math when you have on a tax form paid out by Turning Point Action $1.8 million? This is what I really want to show. It's blatantly,
Absolutely.
It's blatant fraud. Okay, so now does this make sense? This is just one form, bro.
And there's so much more. If we're going to dig deeper into this, and we'll post anything we find for sure. But this is just scratching the surface. But we have enough information here for them to easily build a case for fraud. For PPP fraud for Jake Hoffman. Multiple counts of felonies. Multiple felonies, not multiple counts, but multiple felony charges.
So I think that should say all that we need to say, right?
Yep.
I think that this right here is the most damning evidence.